It is the Jesse Kelly Show, another hour of the Jesse Kelly Show on a magnificent Thursday. We're going to talk about communists pretending to be forced into doing the things they actually want to do. We'll open up talking about that. The right continues to make babies, and that's a great thing. H-1Bs, not so much of a good thing. All that, emails, and more coming up in the second hour of the world-famous Jesse Kelly Show. Now, communists always want to do terrible things, as you know. It's the religion of the malcontent, a religion of destruction. They are trying to destroy. I'll get emails about, hey, Jesse, my daughter's friends, her commie friends, they told her to shave her head and she did it. Why? She was so beautiful. Communists believe in destroying everything good, including beauty. Destroying. They're destroyers. But that's a hard sell. If I showed up at your doorstep tonight, ding dong, and you answered the door, and I told you, hey, I'd really love to give your place a fresh coat of paint, make it look better. Well, you may slam the door in my face, but that's at least a good pitch. Hey, I want to make it look better. But if I showed up at your door tonight, ding dong, and I said, man, I'd like to come in here and put a bunch of holes in your wall. I just want to take a hammer and walk around and nail holes in your wall. That's not a great pitch. You wouldn't buy that. So I have to figure out how to sell that to you. How do I sell that to you? I want to put holes in your wall. How do I sell it? One of the most common tactics communists use to sell their destructive plans is, I had no choice. I had no other choice. Things are so desperate, things are so dire, I have to put holes in your wall. If I ring on your doorbell and you answer, I'm not going to tell you that I want to put holes in your wall. I'll probably say, man, the last thing I want to do is put holes in your wall. But you don't understand. You have termites everywhere. If I don't put holes in your wall, your house, it's going to crumble and kill everyone inside of it. This is an emergency situation. Let me put the holes in your wall. Always selling emergency. When Stalin was handing out quotas to the NKVD to slaughter Soviet citizens en masse, Stalin knew that even with all of his power, that's not a great sell to Soviet citizens. Hey, we might have to shoot your dad in the face. It's hard to sell that, right? So he always had a plan to sell it. Hey, you don't understand the Polish in collaboration with the Americans. They're doing sabotage operations in our country. They're trying to bring our country down. They're trying to burn it down. We have no choice but to arrest people and shoot them in the face. I don't want to. That's the last thing in the world I would want to do is hurt anybody, but things are so desperate, we have no choice. New York City, let me clarify. The foreigners in New York City voted for Mamdani to be mayor. American New Yorkers did not vote for him. They rejected him outright, but they're outnumbered now because we have no immigration policy in this country. Foreigners went to the polls and they voted for Mamdani. Now, the greatest city in the world has a communist mayor. Now, almost every friend I have who lives in the city either won't come in or his wife definitely won't come in. I can't get some guy, if I bring Ob to the city, to come in and meet with me and Ob to have dinner. It's always, well, I'm coming, but my wife won't come in anymore. Mamdani's the mayor now. Mamdani, a communist, he wants to destroy everything. He's a destroyer. That's what communists do. He talked all the time about jacking taxes up on people during the campaign and before. He believes in the government confiscation of everything. Of course he does. He's a communist. He's getting ready to put those tax increases in there. But people don't love tax increases. People generally don't vote for tax increases. What are you going to do if you're Mamdani? Well, you got no choice.
We are speaking about a fiscal crisis at the scale greater than the Great Recession. And so there will not be one single thing that can answer that crisis. It will require us to pursue every single avenue. That means looking inward into savings and efficiencies. That also means raising taxes on the wealthiest New Yorkers and the most profitable corporations. And it means recalibrating the relationship with the state.
I have no choice. Things are dire. Remember that terrible recession? It's going to get even worse. It's not that I want to tax all the wealthy people into moving out of New York City. That's the last thing in the world I want. But I have no choice. They always sell it. Democrats do it across the country now. Hey, Jesse, I think Hakeem Jeffries is trying to sound like Barack Obama. He's just not any good at it. So I brought this up last night. Hakeem Jeffries is the hand-selected successor to Grandma Vodka, to Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi, much as you may hate her, or I may hate her, is an insanely capable human being. Highly intelligent, vicious. I would kill to have a couple Nancy Pelosi's on our side. She's been banging heads together and marching the communist revolution forward in D.C. for a long time. A very, very capable human being. Obviously a little long in the tooth now, few too many vodkas, but for a long time, she ate our lunch. We have to admit that. She ate our lunch. She chose Hakeem Jeffries. Hey, this is going to be the guy who leads the House now that I'm old and drunk. Got it. I made a mistake. When she selected Hakeem Jeffries, I assumed that she selected him in part because he was capable. You have to be a good fundraiser to be the top dog in any of the houses. So that he is good at. I got that. But I assumed she thought this is a capable human being. But the more I listened to him, the kind of halting way he talks that doesn't have any charisma, he has like a weird rhythm to how he talks. The more I listen to Hakeem Jeffries, I'm more and more baffled that Grandma Vodka chose him. I'm going to play his comment today that's making the rounds. He talks about putting Kristi Noem on ice, and everyone's talking about how that's a threat, and as if that's new. That's how all Democrats talk. I know I hit the microphone, Chris. It's fine. That's how all Democrats talk. They all talk in those terms. That's whatever. But I just think maybe he's dumb.
It's disgraceful. She's got to go. We are dead serious. She needs to be put on ice permanently.
She's
got to go.
He just doesn't have it.
And by the way,
he doesn't have it. I know I was talking over him, Chris. I can do what I want. He just doesn't have it, whatever it is. And everyone keeps calling him, a dime store Obama and things like that. I don't understand the Obama comparisons at all. Beyond the color of his skin, he has nothing in common with Obama at all. Obama was a great speaker, as much as I hate him. What, Chris? Is it the halting speech that does it? But Obama would use halting speech and still would deliver it in a way that people liked. Hakeem just doesn't do that. I don't find him to have any comparison to Obama at all. Like I said, beyond the color of his skin, he's definitely not Obama. I think it's a very odd choice. But then again, sometimes women can be devious. Maybe Nancy Pelosi, maybe Grandma Vodka picked him because she knew he would suck and that would make her look better. What, Chris? Think about that. What if I've heard before of radio hosts. No, I don't do this. I don't ever pick the people. I've heard before about radio hosts when they're gone and they get a fill-in, they want a crappy one just so everyone wants them to come back. That's so mean. That's so mean. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a Thursday. Tomorrow is Ask Dr. Jesse Friday. Get your questions emailed in right now to jesse@jessekellyshow.com. Jesse, you're a better man than me. I watched the commie blow her fingers off picking up a flashbang, and I laughed so hard I cried. Does that make me a bad person? No, not at all. Not at all. In life, somebody at some point in your life, they're going to teach you about the realities of life. And I've always argued this. Those lessons get more and more painful the older you get. For instance, being a smart aleck to people, which I know I'm a smart aleck. I get that. But being a smart aleck to the wrong person, when you're a kid, let's say your parent has an opportunity to crack down on that. Hey, go to your room. You're grounded. Maybe give you a whipping or something like that. That's a fairly painless way to learn that lesson. If your parent chooses not to teach you that lesson, maybe one day you're 16 and you're a smart aleck to the wrong guy and you end up picking your teeth up off the floor. It's valuable to learn lessons in the most painless way humanly possible. These communist street animals who are always getting radicalized by this insane rhetoric online.
I was prepared to make a special ice cream today to memorialize and
This is the Ben & Jerry's dork.
celebrate the life of Renee Good. But now that Alex's murder makes it clear that the murder of Renee and the government's lies were not a mistake, but standard operating procedure, I just don't have it within me. We all live in Minneapolis now, because Minneapolis is only the beginning of what they have in mind. They're coming for anyone, anywhere, who doesn't submit. A brazen, arrogant, masked, militarized force, loyal only to Trump and immune from prosecution. Submit or be murdered, video them and be murdered, protest and be murdered, or at least be placed on a list of domestic terrorists and investigated.
If you're a mentally ill person, maybe you're sitting at home and you're consuming that, you're staring at your phone. And you know how it works. I've done it before too. Do you ever just disappear into your phone for a while? And then you look at the clock and you realize, oh my gosh, I've wasted an hour. Oh my goodness, what have I done with my life? You ever do that? Think about this. What if that hour, what if it was an hour consuming stuff like that? What if it was 2 hours, 3 hours, hours and hours and hours, day after day after day after day after day, and finally one day you've had enough, and you go put on your Birkenstocks and you go drive down to one of these commie street animal protests because you've had enough. But real life isn't the internet. Real life, people get hurt. In real life, you can't grab a flashbang, but that's going to hurt. This mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson.
It's clear that the far right in this country, that they have not accepted the results of the Civil War, and that they have longed for a rematch to have a republic that subjugates and subjects individuals to a permanent lower class. And that, again, when we have witnessed the largest upward transfer of wealth in any other time in American history, there's your evidence of the type of stratification that the extreme right in this country prefers.
Civil War. They love that term. Nazis, Civil War, Revolution. Okay. You ever seen a picture of the feet? Or I should say the boots in Civil War? Why don't you go do yourself? Well, hold on. Unless you're a kid, if you're a kid, please ask your parents. Go do an internet search for Civil War hospital boots, or maybe Civil War hospital feet. That's people who had their feet sawed off and legs sawed off. People love to use this horrible terminology all the time. We're in a war, we're in a revolution, it's time to go out and fight the Nazis. And people who are mentally broken, searching for meaning, They sit at home and they consume this stuff day after day after day after day, and they get themselves whipped up into some kind of a frenzy, and then they go out and find out about real life. Alex Preddy, great example of this. Renee Good, great example of this. She just wanted to be a communist street animal with her dog and her lesbian girlfriend. She just wanted to go out and disrupt ICE. It'll be a good time. It'll be a Saturday afternoon. It's like pickleball. And then an ICE agent stands in front of her car. She's being ordered to get out of her car. Her butch girlfriend tells her to drive, baby, drive. It's on camera. And she hammers the gas and drives her car into an ICE agent, causing internal bleeding. And now her brains are being scooped out of the inside of her car. Real life is not the internet. And so many of these people have never learned real life consequences. And they go out and mess with law enforcement, and it doesn't end well. All right, birth rates. We're beating that on our side. Next. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. You know what the right can go for? Getting married and having kids. Let me, sorry, I'm going to try to keep a straight face. I'm going to try to be nice here. You've probably heard many people, talk about the fact that the world, so much of the world, they're not having enough kids to replace their population. This is not an American problem at all. So many, especially of the modern countries in the world, they're not making enough babies. And this gets to be an uncomfortable conversation because many people are single, want to be single. Some people are single and don't want to be single. Some people want to have kids and they can't have kids, or they're single and don't have it. So when you start talking about getting married and having kids, it's always an offensive conversation to someone. That's just inevitable. It is. If anything I'm about to say offends you, remember, I don't care. That's important to keep in mind. It doesn't bother me at all that you're offended. Could not possibly care less. So whatever God has for your life, it's fine. Not everyone's supposed to be married. Not everyone's supposed to have children. Maybe your life is supposed to have a different path. That's fine. Fine. But I do always laugh at least a little bit when I see all these scientists and researchers and even politicians and people just completely tying themselves up into knots talking about births and why there aren't more kids and how do we get people to have more kids, as if this is some extremely complicated thing that we just can't figure out. There's a headline today from the Wall Street Journal: MAGA women defy the birth dearth. While Democrats are increasingly the party of the childless, Republicans are increasingly the party of parents. It's really not complicated. The simple, honest, truthful answer might be something people don't like, might be something people find offensive or make them uncomfortable, and it may not align with your life and how you've chosen to live your life or my life or whatever. That's fine. Things hurt us. But men should marry women, stay married, and make babies. This is not some revolutionary concept. This is the entire history since God made Adam, ripped a rib out of his side, and used it to make Eve. Men marry women, and then when you get married to someone of the opposite sex, inevitably, that will lead to having children. I don't have to elaborate on the means and methods. There are, of course, children listening, but it's really not hard at all. And for some reason today, we take simple truths and we act like they're complicated in some sort of an effort to avoid offending people, or in some sort of an effort to twist ourselves into knots to avoid the truth about things. If you want your society to continue to grow and expand and prosper, then you need to encourage men to marry women, encourage women to marry men, and encourage them to make babies. Oh, and I'll take it a step further as long as we're offending everyone here. If you're a father or a mother and you have a son, you should be talking to him about marriage early. And not just talking to him about marriage. I'm not talking about, oh, get married one day. That's part of it. Do you tell him what he should do to be a good husband? Look, I'm nobody's idea of a good husband, but I tell my sons, you're going to work hard and provide for your wife one day. I'm not talking about being rich. I don't care what you are. The amount of money you make is not important, but you will work hard. You will provide for your family one day. That's not only the right thing to do, that's what women are looking for. I'm setting them up to be ideal mates for some dime they meet someday to marry them. I'm trying to turn them, as much as I can as a father, into marriage material. Gets even more uncomfortable with daughters because, one, women are generally more sensitive, understandably so, and in this I am woman, hear me roar culture today, nobody wants to hear this. Do you have a daughter? Are you teaching her about being a good wife? Or are you telling her, you can do anything a man can do, girl? Are you teaching her to be a loving, supportive woman for a husband? Does she know how to cook anything at all? Does she clean? Chris, you know that Jewish producer Chris didn't eat with Corey and I yesterday? Do you know why he didn't eat? Because he felt like a huge fatty. You know why he felt like a huge fatty? Because when he got home from work the night before, his wife made him a feast and he ate so much that he felt like a fat, disgusting pig. That's what I'm talking about. Have you told your daughter about that? Or are you telling her, you can be a doctor just like a man can? Is that what you're telling her? Look, we see it all over the planet. Quote, right-wingers, to whatever degree you want to qualify that, they're having babies. The other side isn't. Why is that? Well, we're not marrying dudes. We're making babies. We even are going to church? What? That's crazy talk. It's wild how the old ways are so often the best ways. Just a little tidbit there. It's not complicated. Jesse, I wonder if people want peace. There doesn't seem to be a lot of it going around. Well, you wonder if people want peace. All right. Have you ever played sports? If you haven't, you have at least paid attention, at least to some sports. In team sports, how many locker room cancers does it take to ruin the team? Not many. Yeah, Chris said one. It's about that. That's about that. That's about it. One. About one. When I was a kid watching football, younger watching football, the Philadelphia Eagles, I was never a fan, but they were a very good football team back then. They brought in a wide receiver named Terrell Owens. All NFL fans will know who that is. He was an amazing wide receiver. Also a complete disaster of a human being and the very definition of a locker room cancer. Probably the best player on that team, but a locker room cancer. He lasted about a year or two. The whole team blew up. It's not that people don't want peace. It's that it only takes one turd in the punch bowl before nobody wants to go have another glass of punch. We have enough miserable, bitter communists in our society who want to ruin everything that now it feels like nobody wants peace. That's not real life. Everyone I hang out with wants peace. They want to go to work, earn a living, family, whatever, sport, to do whatever they want to do. They just want to live their lives. We also have to acknowledge that there are people in our society who hate everything. They hate everything good, and they don't want that. And it doesn't take many of those people to ruin a country. All right. Speaking of the I am woman, hear me roar stuff, I'm so glad I'm not a Democrat. Meaning a Democrat politician, the humiliation ritual has to get so brutal. You hear what the senator said today? Hang on. It is the Jesse Kelly Show on a wonderful Thursday. Tomorrow is Ask Dr. Jesse Friday. All 3 hours are yours. Whatever you ask, we shall answer. Jesse at jessekellyshow.com. So I just talked about a little bit the I am woman, hear me roar crap that so much of society feels like they have to try to, placate nowadays. Of course, we don't participate in that on this show, but that's another story. Do you remember this commie pastor saying a prayer over Congress? Remember this?
Ask it in the name of the monotheistic God, Brahma, and God known by many names, by many different faiths. A man and a woman.
Amen and a woman. Think how exhausting it would be to be an elected Democrat and have to talk like this. You have to bend the knee to every new cultural Marxist thing. You constantly have to do this. Senator Ed Markey on CNN, he's in Massachusetts. I'll let him take it away.
We're at a critical point in the history of our nation. We are seeing something that is absolutely unprecedented. It actually goes back 250 years in Boston when the Minutemen and Minutewomen rose up in order to stand against King George and his...
The Minutemen and Minutewomen. What a bunch of dorks these people are. God, it must be the most exhausting thing in the history of mankind to be a Democrat. You know that guy, even though he's a shameless commie monster. When they gave him that statement, inside he died a little when he knew he had to read it. Wait a minute. Minute women? What the? Oh, this is not very nice. Okay. There's nothing wrong with meeting your friends at a bar and having an ice cream without ordering any alcohol. Do you know that? You don't have to order alcohol in every social setting. I confided in you. One night that was encouraging me to go gather with friends, and they were at a bar watching a football game I didn't care about, and she talked me into it, and I went over there, and they were sitting at the bar, and I ordered a water, and I ordered an ice cream. I confided in you. In what, Chris? What? Chris said the problem is really the ice cream. What's wrong with ice cream? I can eat ice cream anywhere, Chris. Anyway, these are the emails I get. The subject of this one is gay boy. And then it's not funny, Chris. And then it starts out, hey, gay boy, he says. How many sparkling waters and exotic ice cream flavors have you put down today? It's not funny, Chris. I bet you've got one of those curly straws that you carry around with you when you watch football at the bar. I'm not telling you guys anything anymore. I'm not, Chris. That's it. That's the last time I'm confiding in anybody. Everyone's been so mean about that. Please, Amazon. Oh, speaking of which, Amazon, which had 13,000 H-1B visas approved in the past year, just cut another 16,000 corporate jobs. This has to stop. I know that the Trump administration, they've made some strides. Donald Trump clearly is hesitant to tackle this problem in its entirety. Much of the GOP will be hesitant because of so much of the GOP corporate donor base. But the days where thousands of Americans get laid off and then thousands of foreigners are brought in, it has to stop now. This has to stop. America is for Americans first. That is not to say that other people can't come here from time to time. Not saying that. Not saying people can't go through the very difficult legal process and if they prove their patriotism for long enough, can become citizens. Not saying that. Go ahead. American jobs are for Americans. And I know that corporations are always trying to find a way to improve the bottom line. I get that. I'm a capitalist myself. I like money as much as the next man. This crap has got to stop. And if I may say, before we move on and do our final hour, we'll do a bunch of emails and stuff like that. If I may just make this point, you big corporations who are still doing this, laying off Americans, hiring foreigners, laying off Americans, hiring foreigners, you should be smart enough to read the tea leaves. The times are coming where the backlash against this stuff is going to get more and more vicious as we have more and more Americans who've done everything right and they can't find work in the corporate world. And then they open up the paper and they find out you just hired 5,000 more people from India. The backlash against that is going to increase from here. You might want to go the pure talk route now because the anger is starting to increase. I'm tired of reading stories about American jobs going to foreigners. And corporations across this country are doing this. They're doing it on purpose. They're doing it because they want the slave labor. They want to save money. It better stop. If you are a corporate CEO listening, your time is short with this stuff. I would say enjoy it now, but really you should stop enjoying it now and change course. All right? An hour left. Hang on.